You live in a world where every man is desperate for validation. Look around you, and you will see it in every corner. Men bending their backs to gain applause, leaders sacrificing strength for smiles, and rulers losing their thrones because they wanted to be loved by the people. This is the great trap of approval. Once you fall into it, you no longer act with power, but with dependency. You are no longer the master of your own choices. You are the prisoner of other men's opinions. And the tragedy is this: most never realize they are chained until it is too late. The man who seeks to be liked never makes decisions from clarity. He makes decisions from fear. The fear of losing affection, the fear of being criticized, the fear of standing alone. Such a man may appear strong, but in truth he is fragile, because his strength does not come from within, but from the shifting winds of approval. Today they praise him, tomorrow they abandon him, and he collapses because he never stood on solid ground. Understand this truth: when your life revolves around being liked, you hand the keys of your fate to others. You become a puppet dancing to their desires. If they frown, you tremble. If they smile, you breathe again. Such dependence is slavery disguised as popularity. And I ask you, how can a man claim power if his every move is dictated by the approval of the crowd? Power demands freedom, and freedom cannot coexist with the desperate need to please. Think of history's great rulers. Did Caesar win an empire by asking the Senate if they liked him? Did Alexander the Great conquer the world by ensuring every soldier adored him? Did princes hold their thrones by making themselves agreeable to every man and woman under their rule? No, they acted with decisiveness, often against the comfort of others, because they understood that the approval of the masses is fleeting, but the strength of authority is enduring. When a man obsesses over being liked, he begins to dilute his essence. He hides his true thoughts, his sharp edges, his commanding presence, and replaces them with agreeable lies. He shapes himself to fit the desires of others, like clay molded by countless hands. But clay molded by everyone has no shape of its own. The man who sacrifices authenticity for approval becomes hollow, and men do not follow hollowness for long. They may smile at it, they may flatter it, but they never truly respect it. The crowd, my friend, is never satisfied. Pleasing one group offends another. Agreeing with one man alienates the next. When you try to be liked by all, you are loved by none, for your very essence becomes scattered, inconsistent, and weak. A man who stands firm in his convictions will anger some, he will be respected. A man who bends for everyone angers no one, but he is respected by no one either. Which is worse? To have enemies but remain strong, or to have none but remain irrelevant? The trap of approval also destroys leaders in silence. They begin by compromising small things to remain liked. A softened word here, a concession there, a false smile when their heart disagrees. But each compromise adds weight to their chain. Soon, they have compromised so much that they no longer know what they truly believe. They are no longer leaders, but actors on a stage, wearing masks for the amusement of their audience. Power fades the moment a man forgets that he was not born to entertain, but to command. The desire to be liked weakens even the strongest ambitions. It whispers, do not risk, do not offend, do not stand apart. It convinces you to remain ordinary, agreeable, because greatness cannot exist without controversy. To be extraordinary is to invite envy, hatred, and resistance. And so the man who longs to be liked will never rise beyond mediocrity, because the path to power demands the courage to endure disapproval. The stronger you become, the more enemies you will create. And that is not a sign of weakness. It is the clearest evidence of strength. A man obsessed with approval lives in constant insecurity. His self-worth rises and falls with the words of others. One compliment makes him soar, one insult makes him collapse. Such instability makes him easy to control. His enemies know they can manipulate him by withholding approval, and his so-called friends know they can enslave him by giving it. What greater weakness can there be than a man whose soul belongs to the opinions of others? The trap of approval is the death of authority, because authority requires distance. It requires a man to rise above the crowd, not swim within it. The moment you try to be liked, you step down from the throne and place yourself among the people, asking for their blessing to lead them. But they did not put you on the throne. Your strength did. Your intelligence did. Your discipline did. Never betray your own foundation for the fickle applause of those who cannot give you what you already command. Would you like me to now expand Keynote 2, Fear verse, Love in the same Machiavellian narrator style, also into 700+ words, so you'll have a continuous flowing video script piece by piece. Every man in this world wants to be loved. He chases it from the moment he takes his first breath until his last. And yet, love is the weakest chain that binds men together, for it is broken the moment it becomes inconvenient. People love you when you give them what they want. They love you when you serve their comfort. They love you as long as their loyalty costs them nothing. But when hardship arrives, when sacrifice is demanded, when their own survival is tested, love vanishes like smoke in the wind. This is why I tell you, a man who builds his power on being loved builds his fortress out of sand. At the first wave, it crumbles, but a man who builds his power on fear builds on stone. Fear penetrates deeper into the human heart than love ever can. Love requires constant feeding, constant maintenance, constant gifts to keep it alive. Fear requires nothing but presence, for once it is established, it remains. Think carefully about this distinction. Love is given freely, it is fragile. Fear is created intentionally, but it is strong. Men will promise you loyalty out of love. They will betray you as soon as the promise costs them their comfort. Men will obey you out of fear, and they will continue to obey even when their hearts despise you. For what they cannot escape, they respect, and fear, unlike love, is inescapable. It is not that love has no value. Love can create warmth, unity, even admiration. It cannot survive conflict. A people may love their ruler today, but if hunger spreads, if war arrives, if enemies circle, that love will evaporate overnight. They will curse the man they once adored, they will turn their backs on him, and they will not hesitate to betray him for someone stronger. History is filled with kings who were beloved in peace but slaughtered in turmoil, because love does not protect you when knives are drawn. Fear, however, endures. A ruler who inspires fear will not be adored, but he will be obeyed. Men may hate him, but they will not dare betray him, because the cost of betrayal is too high. Fear secures loyalty even in hardship, because men value their own survival above all. And when a man fears you, his survival depends on his obedience to you. That is why fear is sharper than love. It cuts deeper, and it lasts longer. You may say, but would it not be better to be loved and feared at once? Yes, of course, that is the ideal. But life rarely offers such perfection. When forced to choose between the two, the wise man always chooses fear. For love is voluntary and fragile. Fear is commanded and firm. A ruler who relies on love is at the mercy of the crowd, but a ruler who relies on fear holds the crowd in his fist. Think of your own life. How many times have you admired someone, perhaps even loved them, only to forget them when your own needs shifted? But when you feared someone, perhaps a father, a master, a commander, you never forgot the weight of their authority. That fear shaped your behavior long after the moment passed. Love fades when circumstances change. Fear endures because it engraves itself into memory. The powerful man understands this and does not waste himself in chasing affection. He does not soften his edges to win approval, because he knows approval is conditional. Instead, he sharpens his presence so that even when men curse his name, they lower their eyes in his presence. They may not like him, but they respect him, and respect is the foundation of obedience. Many rulers have fallen because they wanted to be adored. They thought love would protect them, but love is never protection. It is only decoration. It looks beautiful when times are easy, but when storms arrive, it shatters. Fear, on the other hand, is armor. It may not be beautiful, but it keeps you alive. And in power, survival is more valuable than affection. Consider also that love is unstable because it belongs to the will of others. You cannot control who loves you. You cannot command affection. You may act kindly, generously, nobly, and yet still men may despise you. But fear is different. Fear is created by your hand, by your choices, by the image you project. You can build it, you can shape it, you can wield it. That is why it is more reliable. For what you can command, you can control. This is why powerful men never trust love as their foundation. They may accept it, they may enjoy it when it comes, but they never depend on it. For to depend on it is to depend on the most fragile thing in human nature. Instead, they plant fear firmly in the hearts of others, and in that fear, they find loyalty stronger than admiration, obedience stronger than affection, and stability stronger than charm. Do you want me to expand Keynote 3's respect over popularity next into the same 700-word Machiavellian narrator style, so it flows as one continuous video script? The world is filled with men who confuse popularity with power. They think the laughter of the crowd, the applause of the people, the affection of their peers, makes them strong. But what they truly possess is not strength, it is dependence. For popularity is borrowed, not owned. It belongs to the people, not to the man himself. And the moment the people decide to withdraw it, he becomes nothing. Respect, however, is different. Respect is not borrowed, it is forged. It does not come from begging, but from strength, and once earned. It does not vanish with the shifting moods of the crowd. The man who seeks popularity lowers himself to the level of the people he wishes to please. He bends to their opinions, shapes himself according to their whims, and sells his authority in exchange for their fleeting affection. He thinks himself clever, for he is liked, But in truth, he has lost the foundation of power. For what is a leader who follows? What is a ruler who depends on approval? He is a servant disguised as a master. The man who seeks respect, however, walks a different path. He does not chase the love of the crowd. He does not tremble when they frown, nor does he rejoice when they cheer. He stands firm in his judgment, even when it is unpopular. He understands that power is not measured by how many people smile at you, but by how many obey you. The obedience of men comes not from affection, but from recognition. They respect the man who is decisive, disciplined, and unshaken by their disapproval. Respect is more difficult to obtain than popularity, and that is why it is rare. Anyone can be popular, for all it takes is flattery, submission, and empty promises. Tell the crowd what they want to hear, and they will like you, but they will not follow you when hardship comes. They will not defend you when enemies appear. They will not sacrifice for you when survival is at stake. They will leave you because their affection was shallow from the start. Respect, however, requires sacrifice. It requires the man to act in ways that may earn him hatred in the moment, admiration in the long run. It requires him to choose strength over charm, clarity over comfort, and authority over approval. Respect endures because it is born of truth. A man may hate you, but if he respects you, he cannot ignore you. He will calculate his steps carefully around you. He will lower his eyes when he speaks your name. He will obey even as resentment burns in his chest, because he knows your strength makes rebellion too costly. But when a man likes you, his liking is a feather, light, colorful, but blown away by the first wind of inconvenience, which then is more valuable, the feather that floats away, or the iron chain that binds firmly. In every society, popular man is forgotten, but the respected man is remembered. Popularity dies with time because it is tied to fashion and mood. But respect becomes legacy. Men still whisper the names of rulers long gone, not because they were liked, but because they commanded respect that could not be erased. Popularity is tied to presence. Respect is tied to permanence. When you are no longer here, no one will remember how much you were liked, but they will remember whether you were feared, respected, and obeyed. The path of respect also requires discipline. You cannot be respected if you live as a weak man. You cannot be respected if your word is easily broken, if your temper is uncontrolled, if your will is soft. Respect comes from consistency, from showing again and again that you are not a man to be trifled with, that your decisions are final, that your power is not up for negotiation. A man may laugh at a popular figure, but he cannot laugh at the man who carries respect, because respect is weight and laughter cannot move it. Think also of your enemies. A man who is merely popular attracts mockery from his foes, for they see his foundation is weak. But a man who is respected creates hesitation in his enemies, for they know that even hatred cannot erase the authority he carries. Enemies may try to destroy a popular man, but they fear to challenge a respected one. And in this, respect becomes protection, a shield that popularity can never provide. Respect also grants influence. A popular man may be surrounded by people, but they follow him for their own gain, not his strength. The moment he can no longer serve their desires, they scatter. But the man of respect does not need a crowd. Even in solitude, his voice carries weight. Men listen, not because they like him, but because they cannot ignore him. His authority is independent of approval, and this independence makes him untouchable. Popularity is shallow because it is given freely, but respect is deep because it must be earned. The crowd gives popularity to many, but they give respect only to the few who prove themselves above the rest. And this is why the pursuit of popularity weakens you. But the pursuit of respect strengthens you. For in choosing popularity, you submit yourself to the desires of others. In choosing respect, you rise above them, and they are forced to acknowledge your superiority whether they wish to or not. Do you want me to expand Keynote 4, The Mask of Indifference, next in the same 700-word Machiavellian narrator style? So all four build into a single continuous video script. There is a secret that few men ever learn, a secret that separates the truly powerful from the desperate pretenders. It is the mask of indifference. The weak man craves affection, he begs for recognition, he exhausts himself trying to keep the crowd smiling at him. But the powerful man does not chase affection. He does not lower himself to seek validation. Instead, he wears indifference like armor, showing the world that their opinions, whether sweet or bitter, cannot move him. This mask is not weakness, it is strength, for when men cannot control your emotions, they cannot control you. Consider the nature of people. They want to feel important. They want to believe their approval has weight, that their affection is the currency of your soul. They want to see you tremble when they withdraw their smiles, to see you collapse when they whisper disapproval. The weak man obliges them, dancing to their tune, making his power a slave to their judgments. But the man of authority denies them this satisfaction. He looks at their approval with cold detachment. He does not beg for it. He does not chase it. He shows them he can stand alone, and in that solitude, they begin to admire him, even fear him. Indifference creates mystery. When you do not reveal hunger for affection, people wonder what sustains you. They cannot understand how you walk unbent without their blessing, how you rise without their applause. They begin to believe you possess something greater, something hidden, something they cannot touch. And in this belief, they elevate you above themselves. For men cannot respect what they control, but they respect deeply what they cannot move. The man who wears the mask of indifference gains power in silence. The crowd tests him with mockery, with criticism, with rejection. But he does not flinch. He does not change himself to win their favor. He remains steady, unmoved, unyielding. And soon, they realize that their judgments hold no power over him. The same mouths that once ridiculed him begin to whisper with respect. Because nothing commands reverence more than the man who does not kneel to the court of public opinion. Indifference also grants freedom. The man who seeks to be liked is bound by invisible chains. He calculates his every move, fearing that one misstep will cost him affection. He censors his own truth, suppresses his own strength, and hides his true will. But the man who embraces indifference is free. He does not measure himself by the crowd's reaction, but by his own vision. He acts according to his judgment, not theirs. And in this freedom, his actions carry a weight that the weak can never imitate. Think of a prince. If he shows desperation for love, his subjects lose respect for him. They see him as needy, dependent, fragile. But if he wears the mask of indifference, showing that their affection is irrelevant to his rule, they are forced to acknowledge his authority. They may not love him, but they will obey him. They may grumble in private, but in public they bow. For obedience does not come from affection, it comes from the recognition of strength. The mask of indifference also sharpens fear. Men know instinctively when you do not need them. When you are willing to stand alone, when you can lose their affection and still remain unbroken, they realize they have no power over you. And this realization terrifies them. They may never admit it, but in their hearts, they fear the man who cannot be bent by their approval. For such a man is untouchable, and what is untouchable is always revered. Do not mistake indifference for apathy. The powerful man is not careless but strategic. He understands the value of appearances. He may smile, he may flatter, he may accept admiration when it comes, but he never shows need. He never reveals desperation. He maintains the mask, letting others believe he is above their games, and in this distance, he gains influence. People chase the one who does not chase them. They respect the one who withholds. They obey the one who shows he does not require their affection. Indifference also silences enemies. When they cannot provoke you, when they cannot make you rise in anger or crumble in shame, they lose their weapon. Their insults fall like stones into the sea, vanishing without effect. Soon, they realize that fighting you is pointless because you do not react as lesser men do. They may hate you, but they cannot harm you because their greatest tool, control over your emotions, has no effect. And in that silence, they begin to fear you more than they admit. The mask of indifference is not worn once, but always. It is a discipline, a constant reminder that your power does not come from others, but from within. The world will test you again and again, trying to break the mask, trying to see if you will reveal weakness. But each time you remain unmoved, you carve deeper respect into the hearts of those watching. Eventually, even those who despise you cannot deny your strength, for you have proven that you stand above their reach. The weak man begs for affection and gains none. The powerful man shows he needs none, and in return, he gains more than he ever asked for. For people always want what they cannot control, they always admire what they cannot possess, and they always respect the man who proves he is untouchable. This is the essence of the mask of indifference. It is the weapon of the ruler, the shield of the powerful, and the mark of the man who refuses to be a servant to the approval of others. Would you like me to now combine all 4 expanded keynotes into one continuous, polished Machiavellian video script with intro and narration flow so it reads as a single seamless piece? So now you understand why the powerful never chase affection. To hunger for approval is to surrender your freedom. To build on love is to build on sand, for men abandon affection the moment it costs them. Respect is worth more than popularity, for obedience and fear endure when smiles fade. And above all, the mask of indifference is the armor of authority, for it shows the world that you do not bend to their judgments, and in that distance, they cannot touch you. Power is not given to those who wish to be liked. It belongs to those who can endure being disliked, those who choose fear over love, respect over popularity, and indifference over desperation. Remember this, the crowd may never love you, but if they respect you, if they obey you, if they fear to betray you, then you are already greater than those who live for applause.